This is Gunther Fehlinger's podcast here from Vienna. We are live and we are English today because we have a very special guest. But first, let me make an announcement again. The last Fire Rises session was very good. We have now 14,200 subscribers at our YouTube page, and I want to thank everybody for subscribing, and please continue to do so. We are crashing today 120,000 on X because we have Elon Musk, who is making a lot of noise about European American affairs. And of course, this is nonsense what he says, but nevertheless, it creates a lot of attention on the issues of global governance, on the issues of world governance, on the issues of EU-US relations. And today, I'm very honored to have a special guest here at the podcast, a young but very dynamic personality. He is Jovan Jovanovic, and he is here to talk about the World Economic Forum, about Klaus Schwab, and about the Munich Security Conference, and much more. And I think you are calling yourself a globalist. And that will be very interesting. But we want to learn about you. Please, Jovan, introduce yourself and let's discuss what exactly is a globalist. Please, Jovan.
Thank you very much, Günther, for having me in general. So my name is Jovan. I'm 24 years old. I have a startup in the AI segment. We do automations for tax advisors and auditors, but I'm also highly engaged in politics or generally international relations. I'm a global shaper, hence the categorization of a globalist maybe. Maybe short introduction, what the shapers are, what connection it has.
Let's start with you because we're interested in the personality.
Me, the person behind it.
24 and you are on the way up. You have your own IT company.
Yes, I have an AI company. It actually got birthed out of a project from the Global Shapers, which is actually quite interesting. We tried to do something good for the community in Salzburg, reskilling to help the people get those skills they need for the future of the economy in the fourth industrial revolution. And through that, we got input that AI is not only needed to generate images or make funny videos, but also to automate repetitive tasks that are like the same every single time. So in the back office, administrative tasks, emails, things like that. And with that feedback, I thought okay, the market is here. The people that are highly efficient and can do AI, data scientists, they're also here. Why not do something? So we decided to do something. We founded Novamundi, which is our company name, and are now finishing up the MVP and starting the launch in the beginning of next year.
Very good. It's a successful startup company. You have built it when?
It's been in the works for months and months and months, but the legal entity only exists since November. Because we got investors first, and then after everything was negotiated, equity, funding, venture capital, all of that, then we founded the legal company, and now we're on our merry, merry way.
Very good. So it already has funding and venture capital inside?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You are kind of this young, dynamic startup elite of Austria.
That's your words, not mine, but I'm gladly going to take that compliment. Thank you very much.
24. Like the new Elon Musk of Austria?
I wouldn't go that far.
We will discuss about Elon Musk
different
later,
politics maybe, but...
You are just 24, so
yes.
You have achieved a lot. You have also studied and...
Yeah, I'm still studying actually, law full-time.
Law, in Salzburg?
In Salzburg, yes. And I'm also part-time employed as an auditor at BDO. And also engaged in the NGO activities, as mentioned, like Global Shapers and all of that.
Very good.
Yes.
Let me ask, because you are Jovan Jovanovic, you have a background in Southeastern Europe?
Yes, I come from Serbia originally, and I moved to Austria 12 years ago, I think. So I actually kind of grew up a bit in Serbia.
In
then
Belgrade?
Not in Belgrade, in Požarevac, which is a not that well-known city. I don't know if you know it.
Not really. Tell me, because I know Serbia quite well, and some in Serbia know me very well, because I'm not so popular there. With some people, with others maybe yes. But I'm very interested because I was very active during the time of Djindjic. I went 20 times to support the transition towards European Serbia. So I love Serbia, if Serbia loves us.
A bit, fully agree. I could not agree more. It's a love and hate relationship a little bit, but the European values need to come to Serbia. And when that happens, then we can grow together as a whole united Europe, I think. But at the current moment, the current regime, at least, kind of hinders that, in my opinion.
Absolutely, it's a big problem. And the students of Serbia are in constant revolution, and they try to change the regime.
And that's something I honestly really am passionate about, because those students, they see what could be. They see Europe, they see the values, the democracy, the right of law that could be, that exists somewhere else. And they just want it in their own home as well. Is that too much to ask for? And that's why I honestly support the students wholeheartedly.
They have deserved our support, absolutely. And just to hang out with tyrants and dictators because of economic interest is not the best policy, I think. So.
Exactly.
So tell me, I think a lot of the Serbs, when they see that young people, when they come to Vienna, to Austria, immediately they turn quite successful.
That could be, yeah.
You know, we have one Bosnian a refugee with 10. She came to Vienna and she became the Minister of Justice.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's because people have something to prove. They now have a country that isn't corrupt, that isn't full of, I don't know, like bureaucracy that hinders every try at success. You have a country that allows it. And now if you have the opportunity, I'm going to use it. I'm not going to ignore it and be like, okay, I came to this much better infrastructure with a legal system that actually works, and I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to be unsuccessful just as I was there. No, I'm going to use that framework. And I think a lot of people have that mentality when they come over. They want to make the best out of it. And I think that's good.
So here's Jovan Jovanovic, in the age of 12, came with his parents, I guess, to Salzburg, and is now studying law, is successful, dressed for success, has their own startup company with funding, not just the idea, but with funding, international funding. Congratulations, is on the way to big success and is in the NGO community, which is a very normal thing in Austria. Everybody is engaged during his student times, either in the student union or in a student fraternity or in some student club. This is what we do in Austria, and we love that very much. And then you have decided to be engaged in a very special a student activity, if I want to call it like this.
I did indeed, yes.
And tell us how you are now engaged in the framework of the Munich Security Conference, of the Davos World Economic Forum. These are the most prestigious think tanks, which there is in Switzerland and in Germany. Normally, I would, because I was 20 years active as well in Forum Alpbach, so young, successful, high potentials like you would normally go to the Forum Alpbach and be active there. You decided from the European level to go to the global level and be active in Switzerland and in Germany in this, unfortunately, we can say a little bit more successful think tanks than the Forum Alpbach, which I love and admire, but it is not as globally famous as Davos and as the Munich Security Conference. So how come, Jovan, you are engaged in these big global think tanks?
Well, I'm not beating the globalist allegations here, but I got invited to an event. It just started very simply. I think it was a bowling event, and I said like, okay, the global shapers, what is this? Let's talk about it, let's see it. And then I found out the global shapers are a community that has been initiated by the World Economic Forum to cause local impact and scale it up globally. Now, this is very abstract, and I know it sounds very abstract, but what I mean with that, there is over 500 hubs internationally, over, I think, 18,000 members, including alumni, in the whole network, and they're in cities all over the world. And they do projects that help the local community in some way. Of course, the needs of the community are going to be different according to region. Because in India, you can do projects for clean water, for example, because the population needs that. In Austria, I mentioned it earlier, with Future Skills, it's different needs. So what we started...
Our water is clean. But
our water is clean.
Our business environment.
Exactly. And education can also do some
yeah, Matthias Strolz. You know Matthias Strolz?
Absolutely, of course.
He was making his whole career on changing education, and he did something similar like you, because he started the youth network, which I understand is Global Shapers, is the youth engagement
of the
network.
World Economic Forum. Yeah.
We had this initiative groups. It was called IG and Clubs Alpbach. And Matthias has basically created this Global Shapers of Alpbach. He always says the education system in Austria.
Absolutely, and that was a need. And we did that project. And now, just for an example, I mean, it developed kind of similarly to the example I'm going to bring. But if it works in Salzburg and you have metrics, like we had over 120, I think, companies visit our workshops to reskilling and AI usage and all of that, if that works, you can replicate it in other hubs, Vienna, Munich, Heidelberg, Hamburg. And if that works in those regions as well, then someone reaches out from Boston, from New York, and then out of nothing pops up a WhatsApp group with 700 members, and a week later a Zoom call with over 100 participants on how to replicate this in different countries, different regions, and then you have scaled your impact from the local into the regional and then into the global. And that's what I meant with act regionally, but think globally to achieve that global impact in some way.
So what's your exact position now in this global shapers? It's a city-based or regional, like Salzburg, or Austrian-based global shapers?
It's regional-based. We have two hubs in Austria. We have Vienna and Salzburg. Germany has many more. It's a bit more present.
What's your position
My
now?
position currently is impact officer. Last year I was curator. And I think in February the elections are again, so I'm going to be candidating again as curator.
Curator means the Austrian boss. Let's call
President.
it President of
Of
young.
NGO, yes.
It's basically the Young European Worldwide Forum, World Economic Forum, Austria. You were already the
I was the
president.
curator, exactly. Okay. There's three statutory positions: the curator, vice curator, and impact officer. The curator, vice curator, pretty self-explanatory: president, vice president, and impact officer measures the impact. He produces the numbers, calculates, okay, what did we actually do? Did it actually do something? Did we cause impact, or did we just do greenwashing and then it sounded nice but didn't do actually anything? And then we present that to the HQ in order to show what we've done in the last year.
The HQ.
Yes.
Now we want to know everything. Where's the HQ? And is it really the world government? Everybody on at least my Twitter feed seems to be very excited that there is a secret world government and it's the World Economic Forum. The HQ, where is it?
The HQ is in Geneva.
In Geneva?
Yes, but I have to disappoint. It's not an evil cabal of shamans controlling the whole world. I have to disappoint you, Günther.
Some on my Twitter feed seem to think.
I think so, that there are many people that think that, but that is sadly not the truth. There is no behind closed quarters agenda that controls everything. It's just a forum where people come, very high profile stakeholders, of course. If Bill Gates comes there and JD Vance and Friedrich Merz and they talk about things that can be done, it's just a table. And a table has meaning that people can use it to talk over things like we are currently talking about. They can align on things and decide to do things together that leverages the impact, in my opinion. But it's far from everything gets controlled by a shadow government. So that is a false perception.
So in reality, Klaus Schwab and his World Economic Forum basically is a very successful think tank.
It is that is a very good pinpoint. There is a lot of events that get organized, summits where stakeholders come, stakeholders go, they talk about different ideas, they align on things that they believe in. There's various programs, like, for example, the Global Shapers or the Young Global Leaders program for very successful young people. I think from Austria we had only one person participate in it, and it was Sebastian Kurz, actually.
Sebastian Kurz.
It was Basti.
He's always the best of our generation,
yeah, exactly.
And he made it there.
There were a lot of people. I think Angela Merkel was there as well, Macron. So a lot of high-profile politicians as well, also people from business, likewise. And we see that the program worked. I mean, the people that did spend time in those classes, they are currently now the voices in various industries and policy-making decisions. So it works. And by that, I just want to say it has various
people, maybe
fields.
because that's a dream of many, among them also my dream, to build up a global think tank movement. Yeah. Some people might be jealous, basically, because Klaus Schwab, basically, he has been the most successful of all of them.
Yeah.
And because Alpbach is not as big, other think tanks, there are many think tanks in the world, but none of them is as successful as the World Economic Forum.
I think Professor Schwab has a very vision-based decision-making, and he foresaw things much before they actually happened. So was it the change with the economy? I don't know if you've read the book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. But he foresaw a lot of technologies that are going to be present today, especially how AI is going to be used, nanotechnology, robotics, all of those things. And he wrote that book, I think, almost 10 years ago. Please correct me post-podcast if that is wrong. But he saw it coming a long time ago. And I think that, combined with talking constantly to decision makers, stakeholders, causing that come together of various nations, various industries, made that thing successful.
And he is based, the headquarter, as you call, HQ,
Yes.
is in Geneva, I understand.
The HQ is in Geneva, correct?
Is it like a big, small, how can we imagine this headquarter of the global think tank
it's
that
big
is shaping the world?
It's big, it's beautiful, it's the best out there.
There's Trump somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's absolutely beautiful. I was there recently, a few weeks ago. It was awesome. I just paid a short visit. It's this nice gray glass building with a lot of nature, a lot of plants. It looks very exotic, a lot of different colors inside.
Geneva is quite a special place. I was only once there, but because of this being the seat of the world government, of the League of Nations.
The UN as well, yeah.
And then the building is now the UN, but it was the League of Nations why they decided to go to Geneva. And a lot of global organizations like the World Trade Organization and many of them, I think the Swiss are very generous for international organizations to be.
For it, yes.
And there's over, I read, 70 international bodies and important institutions. So as a seat of a secret world government, it seems a logical choice.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And I honestly love Geneva. Geneva is such a nice city. I find it slightly comparable to Salzburg, but it just has more presence. Let's say it's
in
very.
Salzburg, we never managed to get any international organization.
I mean, we got the Salzburg summit, where also a lot of stakeholders come to, but it's not the same
Salzburg
level.
summit of the Austrian Federation of Industry.
The
Salzburg summit of the Institute of the Regions. Or the Salzburg summit of the...
We have many Salzburg summits.
There's also the Salzburg Global Seminar. I think that's one think tank which is sitting.
That's the one I meant, yeah.
So you have some international events at least in this beautiful city. And we have now the young global shapers and Jovan Jovanovic to organize. You organize events as well in Salzburg of the global shapers?
Yeah.
You have a yearly agenda and program?
We usually either co-participate in events. For example, now we want to do like a charity gala in March with some other different partners. But usually we try to participate at events where high-profile stakeholders, industry leaders, politicians are, in order to find out, okay, what does the local and regional community need? And then put that information, like write it up very nicely, of course. The decision makers are only human. They're not going to read 50 pages of just plain text. You have to do data visualization, make it very nice. And then we present it to the stakeholders who actually make the decisions and say, hey, this is what the community actually needs. Please deliver. And
because we have now a new governor of Salzburg, Mrs. Edstadler, who was the former Minister of European Affairs, and I'm sure she, in her secret dreams, to see Salzburg as a small Geneva.
We can try, we can do that.
And with your help?
With her help, our hands are open. We're gladly going to do that.
If you bring Klaus Schwab to Salzburg, I'm sure she will be so delighted to support your initiatives.
Yeah, I surely do hope so. Indeed.
Because Salzburg is already, I've mentioned already, Salzburg Global and of course the Salzburg Regional Summit in September and from the Industriellen Vereinigung each during the Salzburg Festival, which is of course the
also
big reason to go. And so
exactly.
that's always end of July. I was there once. So there could be also some cooperation with all these initiatives and somehow make Salzburg, Geneva again.
Yeah. Not again, we never were Geneva, but
you don't have the lake there.
Exactly.
It's in Zell am See, the lake, anyhow.
It's nearby. We have
nice enough
we have different. We have more lakes. We're more lakes than the Geneva.
But the place which is globally famous for the World Economic Forum is less Geneva and still
Davos.
not Salzburg, but it's Davos. And tell me about Davos. It's now coming up in the end of January. I think every end of January, this is the claim to fame of the World Economic Forum. This is the yearly jamboree of the global good, mighty, and powerful and rich. And will Elon Musk be there?
I cannot disclose if Elon Musk will be there, but
Klaus Schwab will be there.
I don't know. I don't actually know because I don't know if you've heard, but he's not the chairman anymore.
Yeah, I heard that, but it's a transition phase. He's already, I don't know his age actually.
He's quite old, but he's very active for his age. I mean,
but he has transitioned to his
He's not currently in the governing body of the World Economic Forum.
Who is now the world?
The current governor is Borg Brende.
He's a Norwegian, I remember.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Norwegian is good. They have all the money.
Exactly. Yeah.
He hopefully brings some of the oil wealth.
We want them nearer to Europe, of course. Exactly.
Yeah, I want them to join the European Union because we have big costs. We can discuss about Ukraine, and the Norwegians are getting all our money now. And thanks for bringing all the oil and gas to Europe. They help us a lot. They are good allies, but nevertheless, they're getting very rich, and they have the 1 trillion fund, I think, something like that. And so now they have taken over the World Economic Forum as well.
We can get more near with them. If they align more with Europe, come closer, it's going to come together as a very pretty nice thing, I think.
I wanted to ask you as well, have you ever met Professor Schwab?
Yes,
personally?
Of course, yes.
Shake the hands, chatted a bit?
The whole package.
Okay, very nice.
Was a very, very cool person, in my opinion. Very conversational, and honestly, I love him as a speaker. Because he is a bit older, that's just fact, but the way he speaks, very much passionate, and I love it. It's something you like to hear, and it's also very insightful. He doesn't just talk to talk, he talks with a lot of background information or input that actually is valuable to the listeners, so I kind of like him as a speaker very much.
In my generation, for me, when I was as young as you, it was Otto von Habsburg or Erhard Busseck, the great Austrian European, and they were the inspiring speakers of our generation. You would say that Klaus Schwab is the personality to inspire you?
I think so. He sees the value in youth. He sees the value of people who are young, who want to change things. And I think he founded the Global Shapers community for that reason, to give the youth that platform to be able to change things later on and engage with really high-profile stakeholders. Because if you grow up in an environment like that, you're going to be a part of that environment at some point, and I think that project worked out really well.
So we are now 1 month ahead of the next big Davos summit. I think it's on the middle of January.
Pretty much. It's like 17th until the 23rd, I think.
So it's pretty much 5 weeks to go. And can you give us a little bit of a foresight? Will it be about the current US-EU relations? Because we are in a very complicated situation. They seem not to like us anymore. And they want to ex the EU.
Yeah, that was really a banger that Musk tweeted recently.
We are the nice guys. We are the allies.
No. Disband the whole EU, Just go on to the national level. Of course, that's going to work out. But let's talk less about the Russian propaganda that he fell into, but more about Davos, which you mentioned. I can't give too much input, but I can tell that the topics are going to be very relevant to what's currently going on in the world. It's going to be a lot of geopolitics, of course. It's going to be a lot of AI on also in supply chains, healthcare, whatever. These fields that are highly relevant to global governance, to the regions, and the world in general, in my opinion. But I sadly can't give input on the specific sessions or the guests.
We will see it on television and on the Twitter. Definitely, there will be a lot of news because Davos has really managed to attract also the global media elite. Yeah? And it's one of the meetings which is globally broadcasted and everybody will know what's going on there. And if young people want to join such events in the Forum Alpbach, I knew as well, I was also in the IG Alpbach Brussels, IG Alpbach Kosovo, and all these youth initiatives. I was actually in Albania, Macedonia, Kosovo, Brussels, and I also shaped in Upper Austria and helped to set up some of these organizations. And so the situation was that when you basically work for this forum indirectly in these youth movements like Global Shaper, you can also attend these global forums. And then young people basically spend 1 or 2 weeks at the end of August in the Forum Alpbach in this beautiful mountain village. And how does it work? Because I understand in case of Davos, to just buy your ticket doesn't seem the normal budget of a normal student.
That is very correct.
Not so... if you have your parents are Elon Musk and Bill Gates together, you might have this budget.
I don't think every single member has the father as Elon Musk.
He has 12 children already.
Yeah, but not 18,000. That's a bit pushing it, yeah?
So how to attend this summit, how to engage, how to do that?
So first off, everyone between the ages of 18 and 27 can actually become a global shaper. You can just apply to your local hub, say, okay, I want to make a change locally, regionally, and I want to bring something to the table and change and impact the community that I live in a good way. That gets you into the community, and the community offers access to many doors. It offers access to the annual summit, for example, where the curators meet once per year in the HQ in Geneva. So from every single...
You have been, for example, at this global summit as a curator.
Exactly. So every single curator from all over the world, it's like 500 people there, like the presidents of each hub coming there.
It's only 200 countries in the world.
Yes, but there is many cities in those countries.
Okay.
It's city-based, yes.
City-based, okay, I understand.
And they all come there, and of course you think like, okay, how am I going to interact with all these people, new people? They're very hardworking, very... Ambitious, exactly, very successful. Will I fit in? But the energy that I felt there is just so indescribable. Of course, they're very efficient and ambitious and have succeeded so much in their life, even though they're young, but it's such a warm energy. Even if you see someone the first time, it's like seeing the best friend you haven't seen for like 3 or 5 years again. So it's a very open, warm community, and everyone who wants to participate, of course, I think will be very, very welcomed in this aspect. Now, that's like one of the events. The other one is, of course, Davos, for example. You can just apply
I apply.
You apply. I think you're slightly over the age limit. Yeah, by the way, it's I don't know if I mentioned until 27 is the age limit. Yes.
I'm 57. Respect the age.
You freshly turned 18.
I'm a boomer. Yeah. Or now Generation X. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Generation X, something. Yeah.
But yeah, you can just apply for that. There is nomination criteria for different events. For some, you can just apply. Some you can just go there. For example, there's like regional events.
My wife doesn't allow me the budget to pay for the ticket. But
oh yeah, by the way, the things get covered by the WEF.
Oh, okay.
So like the annual summit in Geneva, all paid for, the food, the hotel, the travels, all of that. They even supported,
that's attractive
of course.
for students, obviously.
I agree.
Because otherwise Geneva, I had the pizza at the time I was there, and they asked me for 20 euros for one pizza.
Yes.
It was actually a very small pizza.
Yes, I had the same experience recently in Geneva. I was very hungry and I just wanted to eat something, and I bought the pizza. Yeah. This small, and I paid 30 euro for it.
30 euros?
Yes.
Yes. You know, I was there 5 years ago, so the
inflation, yeah.
It seems to be the shrink inflation.
Exactly.
30 euros for a pizza?
It was an okay pizza.
I better eat a little bit less.
It was an okay pizza. But
you brought this famous strudel.
Yes.
It's not exactly 30 euros in.
It is not.
No, they are crazy with the prices in Geneva.
No, it's awful.
For students, that's difficult to afford.
And I think that's a very good program to include the youth, because not all of us are coming from Austria or Germany to Geneva. Some are coming from Beijing, some are coming from Japan, some are coming from the US, and that's a bit longer flight travel than
exactly.
from
the
Salzburg.
Cost also several thousand euros.
And I mean, they pay all of that, so they take over the costs.
Basically, they're shaping a
allow it.
Young global elite, interconnected, ready for global governance. A lot of globalists meet.
Yes, it's a lot of globalists. Yeah, it's a very international.
Are you a globalist?
I am a globalist.
I confess.
Guilty as charged. I am guilty as charged, Günther, yes.
What it means for you, because on X as well, there is a lot of debate. When I say I'm a globalist, I put my face on, there's hundreds of comments and say, we got you and we always knew. It seems to be an insult. In my youth, I was campaigning as EDS chairman. I was from the EPP, the youth organization. I was the chairman for 2 years, 96, 98. And I was campaigning for my re-election as globalization, the force of democracy, market, prosperity, freedom, security. Globalization is good.
Yes.
And I was elected.
Yeah. And now it's the other way around.
Now when I say globalist, everybody boo.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just politics, man.
What's going on?
It's just politics. I think that comes from the very right angle of politics from
Elon again.
Elon, of course.
And JD.
Exactly, JD as well, but also from Russia. Everyone who's a globalist wants democracy and all of that to be a global thing, international thing is evil, of course, because the globalists, they want to destroy culture and they want to destroy tradition and have everything so diversified that there is no identity anymore. That is the argument that the right wing, not normal right wing, you can have normal conservatives, but this specific angle of right wing portrays globalists as.
Putin, in your age, with 24, he was a KGB training officer.
Yes.
And he has a lifelong KGB. And he wants to defend now global culture and tradition.
That is a weird misconceptions I've heard. I've heard like Russia is based, they're so traditional and so culturally present, they want to defend their Christian values. Russia has the highest divorce rates in the world. They have rampant abuse of heroin. They have rampant corruption. That's based. That is what you want to sell out Europe for. That is the good thing, huh?
We're run by a genocidal maniac who attacks Ukraine every day, destroys cities
Exactly.
as a kind of role model.
I fully agree. I do not see it at all. I don't see it either. And that is such a way of the Russian propaganda working, because it's usually these pro-right-wing traditional European channels. But when you check the location of the where the account is based, it's usually like in India or in Russia or somewhere. So it's not, of course, European channels. But they say, Russia is good. The EU is actually evil. Even if that were true, of course it is not. But do you think that if you say like, Russia is really cool, let me help their propaganda get put into my country and my politicians sell out my country to them, do you think that's going to be good for you? Do you think you should sell out your family, your communities, the town, the nation you grew up in, the other European communities for that? Do you think they will treat you better than your own Europeans? And that is such a weird misconception that is happening currently in Europe. People thinking that the enemy is going to treat them better than their own countries. You can criticize the government.
If you hit the glass table too much, the people who are driving cars when listening to the podcast will always get a kind of a...
I am very sorry for the jump scare. I am very sorry for the jump scare.
That's better for the noise level. So let's come to Elon Musk. He is a South African who has tremendously been successful in the American economy. But he is somehow the ultimate globalist. He's a global tycoon. He wants to dominate the IT markets, the spaceship markets, and the car markets. He is actually the one global tycoon which everybody knows at the world, but he is against globalism. How can anybody understand that?
I think it's politics. It's just politics. I mean, we see this new trend in the American politics of... we should focus on America first, and the whole big organizations like the UN or the EU, they want to hold us back. We Americans need to follow our own interest and manifest destiny, that phrase that used to be a very American phrase. And with Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, they propagate that. They still, of course, have the global influence. You can't say that... that Elon Musk is only stationed in the US and only has influence there. We can see the tweet that he posts that has influence globally.
220 million followers, and even if I make despicable say, if he puts completely nonsense out, he gets 60 million people.
The algorithm loves it, of course. It's his platform. He's going to pump it.
He paid 43 billion for it.
He's going to pump
some
it, of course.
Some tax credits and some bank credits.
It was some...
Nevertheless, he put a lot of money on the table, and his tweets are getting prioritized, I think. So,
they are.
Because mine are not getting so much. Which I think I'm the voice of reason.
Absolutely.
On the platform.
I mean, if you want more, you just have to buy Twitter. You know, then
that's not exactly the budget available. I can buy some cakes and coffee, but that's. So let's come to JD Vance. He also raised to prominence to criticize Europe at the Munich Security Conference, a famous or infamous speech he made last year.
Speech.
And we have now him as the vice president, potential presidential candidate in 2028. And now I want to ask you, because he's very worried about globalism, and he is the one anti-globalist in a perception, ideological father of this MAGA movement, or whatever, stepson, whatever he is. But nevertheless, he's very worried about this kind of cultural homogenization of the world and all these free speech issues. I want to ask you, America, is basically still, the cities look quite similar. They have these skyscraper cities. I admire it, but it's not exactly that there is such a big cultural difference between, maybe there is, between Virginia and Georgia. There is certainly cultural differences. But when you look in Europe, we have this ancient civilization of the Finns, of the Greeks,
Yes.
and of the Austrians. Of course, the Italians, the Spanish. We are going back 2,000, and some of them maybe 3,000 years. In the case of the Greeks, and the last time I was in Greece and in Albania and in Italy, it still looked very much like Greece, Albania, Italy.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a unified European culture.
Exactly.
So
I think
Salzburg also looked quite the same.
Yes.
The last time I was there, and it
Doesn't
looked
change
quite
that much.
beautiful, to be honest. And I would call Salzburg, your new home city, as a kind of symbol of European cultural heritage of the first level.
Thank you very much for that compliment. Yes.
It is, it is a global center of culture, and it's not going to be an equalized,
I don't think so
standardized.
either. No. We have far more
By the
culture than
EU.
the Americans. No, don't worry there. The American culture, of course, it exists, and there is also the traditions they have, all of that, but it all comes derivatively from Europe. It's something that's derived from us, of course.
Boston looks very
exactly.
traditional, but is definitely a very European culture.
Yes, exactly. It all comes from Europe, so we're all connected somehow. That's the connection of the West, the common denominator, if you want to say. But I don't think we're losing that in Europe. Of course, I know what they're trying to say with that rhetoric, and it's plausible to some degree. They say they have their fears regarding immigration, and of course we need to have good policy on immigration. We need to have a grip on it and not let it run rampant in Europe. We have to control it, of course. But it doesn't mean that every single kind of immigration is wrong and that we can't allow immigration at all. That's their fear, and they present it as losing culture and losing tradition. But the fear is rampant immigration. And in Europe, we cannot lose that culture in that sense, because the buildings are here, the tradition is here, the people are here, and the people are, maybe contrasting to the opinion of the very far right people, are not getting replaced by immigrants, for example, because the culture is still European. The legislative is still European, the laws are still European, the language is still European, everything is European. We're just getting more workforce and people that can improve this country and grow with the continent as well, and not here to replace us in any way.
But we are a continent, America is a continent. For example, let's go to your family history and compare it to America. And America took in new member states into the federation as well until, I think, the 1960s. I don't know the exact history of their statehood. But when you, for example, compare Serbia, which is a bit of a wilder and less developed place, my dear Serbian friends, nevertheless, let's compare it to Texas or to Oklahoma, relatively new member states.
Yes.
Of course, the history of America is much more united and has been in the 19th century, but these are relatively new member states. And if your family would have decided to go from Texas or Oklahoma to, let's say, Boston, and you are 20 years later, then an IT company in Boston, it is totally normal in America to go. In Serbia, you went to Austria, and in the beginning of your life, you certainly were treated as an immigrant child.
Yes, of course, but that is a reason to do better, because you come here full of hope and opportunity, because all those things that are not in Serbia are in Austria, for me at least. The rule of law. There is corruption in Serbia, things that you will not get through a judge, even though you are in the right. There is inflation, no money, no jobs, no future that my family saw. And then we moved to Austria, and then even though I couldn't speak the language at all, I had nothing, we had nothing, we didn't come from money, and then just bought a lot of things and then it was fine. No, they were working in a hotel, and my father worked as a house maintenance building maintenance, for a company. And I had to go to school and study and all of that. But that predisposition of opportunity, that I can actually reach things in this country, that pushed me to the edge and to say, okay, I want to reach them all. I want to become good. I want to learn the language. I want to have my own company. I want to be successful. And I think fostering that kind of spirit, that kind of immigration, is the right solution, and it is exactly what we need in Europe.
Exactly. It should be quite normal that people from Serbia, Bosnia come to Vienna,
Yes.
or we come there, we go to holiday in Croatia, or maybe go to retirement in Florida of Europe, in Albania, which is actually a very nice place.
Yes, agreed.
And it's
Very
one of
nice
my dreams
coast.
to be in Montenegro, Albania, somewhere when I in the retirement age. That will be the future. And America is this united continent we want to be, but unfortunately Elon and JD Vance don't want us to be united.
Yes, I mean, that is quite absurd, saying that we need to disband the EU so the small countries can represent their people much better. Okay, then disband the United States. That's good, right? That would be
That
great.
would be the same logic.
That would be great, because then the people of New York will get the representation from Mamdani and not from Trump. Come on, what arguments are you bringing? He's just spouting Russian propaganda. He just found that on Reddit or X or whatever, and he said, that is nice, yeah, good. But that comes directly from Russian channels.
Should we not focus a little bit more on the Russian threat? Because Russia is attacking us
That is a main
economically, politically,
Yes.
and militarily in Ukraine so badly, killed so many people. Does this genocidal maniac not deserve more of our attention instead of having this internecine kind of family feud, which we have now in December? For what reason?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but I have a very specific opinion on this, but I think it's not one of the bigger threats, it's the largest threat to Europe. And we need to have a united front here. If Germany says, yeah, Putin is bad, but France says, no, Putin is good, that's not going to get us anywhere. We need to have a united front and have a presence on the outside, like foreign presence of the EU that is united, that says, okay, no, we are going to fight against this, and we will not allow this to happen anymore. It's a hybrid warfare, as you've mentioned it. It's misinformation, it's drones violating airspace, it's lies, it's influencing politicians, buying out the AfD party, and they have a lot of cases with corruption there. A lot of right-wing parties, the extreme ones at least in Europe, have that problem. So this is multi-front or multi-dimensional war that Russia is waging on us. And we should just sit here and talk? That is the solution? No, we have to fight back. It doesn't have to be with nukes. We don't have to nuke Moscow immediately, but we can fight back. We can send funds, the frozen assets, to Ukraine. We can fund Ukraine to fight the war further. We can help them by giving them weapons. And we can fight Putin. That is something not only that we should do, that is something we have to do. You've heard that he rejected the plan of the peace treaty that was offered to him. That was more than he asked for in the beginning, and he still declined it. Do you know what that means? That means he wants war. And a man that wants war is not your friend, regardless of what the Instagram algorithm says how cool Russia is. That man is your enemy. He wants to attack your country, he wants to attack your family, your nation, and that you have to defend. Even if you are unsatisfied with Ursula or the EU Commission currently, that doesn't mean you should be a traitor and sell out your whole community because of that. Change the government, go into politics, get active, do something, change it, and then still be aligned with your own people and don't sell them out for just this small thing.
You're very passionate, young advocate of freedom.
The passion did come out a little bit, yeah. Thank
so,
you.
Jovan, on the 18th of December, we have the European Council, which is our main governing institution, like the US Senate, if you want to compare it with the Americas. It's the heads of states will come together, and they have one very important agenda point. This is about funding Ukraine and using the Russian assets, which are frozen after the war, in the European Euroclear system. They are going to decide if they do this 140 billion euro loan to fund the war effort, which is very important because war is extremely expensive, destructive, and Ukraine needs money, so we can do that loan. And do you think that all this kind of anti-EU bullying is somehow connected with this question, if Europe will really use these huge resources frozen and support Ukraine further?
I think it might be related because you have to go down the rabbit hole. Where is the information coming from? And usually this disband in the EU is bad, all of that is coming from Russia. It may come from proxies that are stationed in India or China or whatever, but the channels that are producing this content are from Russia. Okay, so we know that the Russians are trying to paint a picture. Why are they trying to paint a picture? Because we want to give the funds to Ukraine. So of course it's connected. They want to paint us as bad. as someone who doesn't respect international law, even though giving the funds to Ukraine, even the frozen assets, would be in accordance with international law. But let's follow that idea. They want to paint us as the bad guy in order for us to not have support from the US, from which other else country, that maybe Canada, for example, as they're growing together with EU slowly, which I very, of course, much like. But they want to isolate us. Why? Because they're at war with Ukraine and they don't want Ukraine to get that funding. And if the whole world is against the European Union and Europe as a whole, then maybe Europe will be like, okay, maybe we won't give the funds to them. Maybe we will go to our knees and say, okay, do what you wish with Ukraine. But that will not happen. I am very
So you are standing 100% for Ukraine, with Ukraine?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We are coming now to the 18th of December, key meeting of the European Council. Then on the 17th of January will be the Davos World Economic Forum. A lot of leaders will convene and a lot of decisions will be at least prepared. And then is another very important global shapers and security meeting, which is on similar level like Davos. This is the Munich Security Conference, which normally is in the middle of February, I think so.
Yes, correct.
And this is where the speech of JD Vance has shaken us, that we supposedly somehow are not free. We are a continent raging in disaster. Migrants have taken over. Muslim hordes have conquered Salzburg. And
course.
I would like to ask you a little bit, what's your impression? Is Salzburg conquered by a Muslim horde? And do we need JD Vance to defend free speech? And what is exactly the outlook on the 2026 Munich Security Conference? Will JD Vance be invited again?
I don't know if he will be invited. That's a good question. I will look into that. That is very good. But yes, of course, Salzburg, the fortress, is already under the caliphate. It's already done. The whole of Europe has fallen. It's over.
According to JD Vance, fantasy land.
Exactly. No, it's all done. No. Of course, it's not true. And he did some PR there. I mean, some points, okay, they have some validity with the security question. Back then, we didn't do nearly enough for our defense, which is true. He became a self-fulfilled prophecy. He said, you don't have defense, without the Americans, you wouldn't be anything. And now we notice that America is now going a different path. Oh, we can't really rely on the Americans that much. We need to have our things together in Europe. We have to actually invest in Rheinmetall, in companies that will actually help us defend ourselves. So there he had a point, absolutely. But the freedom of speech, I don't know. We, of course, have a freedom of speech. It's in the MAK. In the legislature.
Even me, as a pro-NATO person in neutral Austria, I can say this everywhere.
Exactly.
There is nobody coming for me.
Exactly.
Mr. JD.
He isn't coming, but maybe he should look in his own country first before making those comments.
When you enter the US, you have to show your social media accounts before you get a visa.
And I heard that some students got banned or kicked out of the universities because they criticized Israel. Very interesting things happening in the United States as well. So maybe clean up that first before...
Of speech in Washington, D.C.?
It's only freedom of speech in voice. But as soon as it actually is on the table, then I don't know. But yeah, he should clean up his house first before he comes and preaches to us, in my opinion.
Jovan, explain us a little bit. You are also involved in this Munich Security Conference.
Yes.
How come?
Through the Global Shapers.
This is a joint movement of Davos and Munich, or is
No. Just the Global Shapers in Salzburg are coordinating a project because the Shapers do projects that cause impact. I went into that a little bit. And one of the projects that I'm leading currently is Polytalks. We were present at, or we want to be present at 2 events. One is already checked. That was the Europe Summit, where we talked to various presidents, ministers, industry leaders about what the regions need. And then
Summit?
The Europe Summit from the IRE.
Yes, Salzburg. This is the Salzburg European Summit.
Exactly.
We didn't meet, unfortunately, but I was attending as well.
I saw that you were there. It's very sad that we didn't meet.
I tweet a lot, and so
yes.
it was visible. But this is a famous topic about regional economics and regional
and that was the idea, like to find out
September.
what the regions really need. And we used that information. We did interviews with a lot of people and talked about what concretely needs to be done. Not like, Europe needs to hold
for
together.
Your social media.
That as well.
We posted also active on social media?
I am active on social media.
Very good.
Jovanović Jovan on Instagram can be found very easily.
We will link this podcast.
Hell yeah, we can absolutely do that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so the idea was to talk with the stakeholders there on a regional level and ask, okay, because it's not only Austrian regions, people from Macedonia came, people from the Balkans, from Eastern Europe, but it's still regional. And then we asked, okay, what do you need to be done concretely? And we didn't ask like, okay, Europe needs to hold together and be very happy. No, it was very concrete. For example, a sunset clause that laws have an expiration date. And if they're good laws, they can be prolonged or changed,
You
or
should
they
tell
expire.
this to Mr. Shellhorn. He is looking for good ideas.
Exactly, things like that are actually quite cool and that can be implemented in the legislative. Because then we tackle the problem of over-bureaucratizing Europe, which is a problem. So a lot of those points that we took from the summit, and then we used it to brief the European Parliament and Commission directly with the policy briefing. That was the first event. The second event, we're organizing a side event at the Munich Security Conference. This we're doing together with other various hubs, with Lviv, with Heidelberg, Vienna, Munich, for example. And together we're organizing a panel discussion on two topics, the rebuilding of Ukraine and the European security question. And there we will have surveys to find out what the youth thinks about these topics, what the youth really wants from these topics. We will have keynotes, speakers there, discussions, various companies, private entities, public officials partaking and speaking on this very important issue. And we wish to do the similar change that we impacted at the Europe Summit, to find out what needs to be done, do data visualization, and present it to the decision makers that can make it happen. So that's like a short pitch on what we're doing at the Munich Security Conference.
And you will personally go as well to Munich?
Yes, I will be there.
You have been already?
To the security conference, no.
This will be the first.
This will be the first.
Will be exciting.
Yes, I agree. It will be.
I would also like to go.
Maybe we can talk about it
But I
afterwards.
was in front of the Bavarian Hof, which is the hotel, and I tweeted and told that Austria should be in NATO and it should be in the interest of Bavaria.
Yes, it should
But
absolutely be.
Unfortunately, Mr. Ischinger, he was too politically diplomatic to say yes to this
Very
initiative.
neutral.
But I invite him for my podcast, Mr. Ischinger, Ambassador. I'm a big fan. And of course, we should all be united in NATO. Maybe to ask you about that one. Are you in favor of Austria's NATO membership?
Yes, but secondarily, I personally think that...
Good. Let's cut this and put it all over social
It's all
media.
done, let's go home, yeah. No, I think NATO is one of the solutions that we can have, but primarily, of course, a man can dream would be a European alternative of that. A European army, a European centralized
I guess you're
defense
voting
system.
Neos there. It's
You
not a
got me.
secret.
Again, you got me.
Are you involved in politics as well?
Currently not. I used to
Beate,
be-
here's your man for Salzburg.
I used to be in UNOS active. I was
Okay, good.
Landesgeschäftsführer. I don't
Even
know.
that, okay. Very
Yes.
good.
But since then, my focus was more on the
global
international,
shaping.
exactly on the shaping the globe, and as
very
well
good.
the startup. So that has fallen out of the picture a little bit. But as you can see, I'm still very political. I'm sorry. I try to be neutral, but sometimes my opinions do come out. And I, of course, know I can't make it fit for everyone, but it's my opinions. I stand by them, and I have arguments. So that's all. But yeah, politics still interests me a lot. I also want to enter politics at some point, European politics.
You heard it first here. Jovan is ready.
Jovan is
Salzburg.
absolutely ready, indeed. But yeah, that's something that's going to come later on, because there is much that needs to be changed, and to just wait on other people to change it doesn't usually work out. So sometimes you have to take it in your own hands and do the work that needs to be done.
So you will go first time to the Munich conference in February
I will.
2026.
Indeed.
Let me ask you as well, have you been already to Davos in the main forum in the middle of January?
No, I have not been in the annual meeting. There is other events, by the way, taking place around that most people can just go to. They don't know about it. The Open Forum, for example. You can just register online and go. Of course.
You have been there on this open forum.
Other members from the hub have been. We are organizing currently for January to go there as well. Like as a group, like a short travel fun adventure.
I have to question you a little bit.
Yeah,
you know.
no, that's absolutely
You're
fine.
using a lot of time to work for Davos World Economic
Yes.
Forum, but they have never allowed you to be at the main forum.
Not yet. Indeed,
And this
not yet.
2026?
2026. That's the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. You will go?
No.
Mr. Schwab. Get this guy to Davos.
Get this man in Davos immediately.
Professor, please, he's a young star. He devotes time and effort. He could also develop in his AI company, and now he fights for your values.
Man is speaking truth. I cannot say
because
anything
I make a
it.
little bit of an advertisement here. If your considerable energy and networks and power and intellect, you could also use for the Forum Alpbach, for be the IG Salzburg president, for example. I don't know who that currently is, but he may be not like that. But you could also do that for this Austrian think tank, the European Forum, and you definitely would have attended many times already the main forum, because there the idea is to have about 20% of the participants, of 5,000 people, around the numbers are on the website, and they are like young people like you who are actually then 2 weeks in the seminars, participating, talking at the main event with the key stakeholders, which are maybe not as global and not Elon Musk and not Trump, but we have also, I'm not representing the forum, but I was attending myself 20 times or 25 times. So it was always very easily to talk to ambassadors, ministers, prime ministers, and Secretary General of the UN, I remember, and other people make selfies and have a fireside chat with the global elite. Maybe not as global as Davos and not as famous, but really very high ranking as well. So why are you not devoting your energy for Forum Alpbach?
I could. You're bringing me to very good ideas, Günther.
Because when you are the global shaper community, I understand that's more or less connected to the World Economic Forum, but you also do things with the European Summit.
Of course, yeah.
With the Munich Security Summit. So all your network could also be in 2026 with Ottmar Karas and pushing him to be pro-globalization in Alpbach.
I have much work to do then.
Yes, because to make Austria more European is also necessary. Because unfortunately we have a little bit of alpine protectionism in our policy making. I ask you about some concrete issues, for example, here. Do you support a free trade agreement with Mercosur and the European Union?
Of course. We need to grow together as a Europe, and this isolationist perspective that the very far-right countries have, they think they can replicate the Swiss model in Austria, which is just not true. We can't be a copy-pasted Switzerland. Why? Because Switzerland has been a neutral country for a much longer time. For hundreds of years, not maybe the legislative neutrality, but Switzerland hasn't waged wars, even going back to the Habsburg monarchy, even before that.
They have exported the warriors
to the Vatican. They had mercenaries.
And everywhere else.
Exactly, but they didn't invade and didn't get invaded quite often. So it became sort of a culture thing that very ingrained in their DNA, in the Swiss DNA, to be neutral and no one attacks us, we don't attack anyone, just our mountains, leave us be. But in Austria, the neutrality isn't something that exists since the Roman Empire. Austria lost, the Second World War was lost, and then the neutrality clause came in order for the occupants to leave the country.
True.
That is just facts.
The Soviets wanted it.
Exactly. And we had to do it. There was no other solution.
Otherwise, Salzburg would be the capital of Western Austria. Like
exactly.
The BDR. That was
maybe would have been better as a capital, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to say
it was too closely at the front at the Soviet occupied territory.
No,
so Salzburg would have been the capital of the BRD if Austria would have stayed divided, more or less. That could have been an option.
Exactly, and we didn't want that, so we said, okay, we take on the neutrality, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be changed forever, and that it cannot be changed, and it shouldn't be changed. The isolationist approach only works if you're irrelevant. If no one gives about you, if no one cares about you, then you won't be attacked. But if Russia sees a strategic point in Austria and wishes to expand more into Western Europe, into Germany, Italy, and France, then Austria could be a very interesting strategic point to expand into, either through air, land, or whatever. So this approach of no one will touch us if we just put our head in the sand doesn't work. And we need to closely ally ourselves with our European brethren and other European nations, because as a small country we can't fend for ourselves. If you're neutral and get attacked by Russia, do you think Austria can defend against Russia themselves? No, we need to have a fail-safe plan on that issue.
We will always ask our German brothers to defend us.
Exactly.
But if they call us, we won't pick up the phone.
Yeah. Did you see that statistic of like how many Austrians expect other EU countries to help us in war, but how many of Austrians are ready to fight for other EU countries? It was like completely disproportionate. Like 80% of Austrians expect other countries to stand for us, but only like 10, 15 would fight for others.
So Austrian concept of solidarity.
Yeah, perfect.
You do everything for me.
Yeah, I do
nothing for you.
I profit completely, yes. But that doesn't work, so we have to find some European solutions to these issues.
So you are for a more European Austria?
Yes, I'm for a very European Austria. I'm a federalist, a European federalist, and I think that the defense question should also primarily be answered through a European solution. And if that is not possible, as I've said, a man can dream, then the secondary one would be NATO, because that's the second best thing we can have.
I start to smile now and I'm so happy. Very good. No. Just, I let always the conversation roll a little bit, but if you endorse NATO, it makes me very happy because
I'm also glad to see
you
people
are in
advocating.
favor also of NATO membership of your native country of origin of Serbia?
Yes, but some
I have
other
a lot of people who watch you.
some other checkboxes need to be checked beforehand, I think, before
cool.
they get accepted into NATO. But at some point, maybe.
But
First
I understand your
Union.
main driver of energy and of what you're doing is your startup company. So you are starting a company on the artificial intelligence. Yes. So let's talk a bit about that one. Do you think that Austria is digitalized enough? Do you think we have... There's new government now, and we have the State Secretary for Digitalization, Mr. Pröll. He has already called you for advice and said, please.
He sadly has not done that yet.
And do you think, because you're traveling a lot with the global shapers, you see probably digitalization is one of the issues at your forum. It's always the case that everybody discuss about the transformation of the society. Klaus Schwab has written the book, The Fourth Technology Revolution.
Yes.
So that's, of course, one of the big issues of the World Economic Forum. And when you come home in Salzburg, do you think then when all the digital services we have with digitale Signatur and everything, do you think we are at the cutting edge of the global shaping community of digitalization, or can we do better, and what we should do?
It's cute. We're trying. It's going in the right direction, but we're not there. We're absolutely not there. It's small things. It's various different fronts technology can be used for. For example, what I really liked in Geneva, you can just order train tickets or bus tickets or whatever you need by sending an SMS like instantly, and you get the ticket 1 hour, 10 hours, 24 hours, whatever. Bam, you have a ticket. Here you have
even Switzerland is more digital.
Yeah, yes.
Lazy,
sadly,
old, sleepy Switzerland.
Sleepy Switzerland in the mountains. Yes, but what you have to do in Austria, you have to download the ÖBB app. Now you have to go and find the tickets that you need, or the Salzburg Verkehr app, or the regional one, whatever region you're in. Now you have to find the tickets that you need. You have to put your credit card in. Okay, that's also very cool. And it takes like 15 minutes to install that, to actually get that through. And you have to type in your credit card information every single time when you want to buy a ticket.
And so when you go to the Salzburg mountain for skiing, you better take cash with you.
Yes, they love the cash. They love the cash. Again, I'm not beating the globalist allegations here, but I'm very pro digital money and
in order to control everything.
I do not want to control it. It's just easier. I don't like paper money. I don't like going to the ATM and picking up money. I just want to be able to hold out my phone, click it 2 times for the Apple Pay, done. That's it. And then the nightmare happens when I go to buy a kebab or something, and then he says, no bagel. And then I have to Google where is the nearest ATM, and then I have to go and pick up the cash money in order to be able to pay. This is a nightmare I do not wish for the European populace. I want to shield them from this bad experience that can happen at the kebab shop or at the barber shop.
Especially remember the history of your parents when they came. Where were the jobs in Salzburg? Salzburg is a region, it's a periphery.
Yes.
But the jobs were in tourism because of the amazing cultural heritage and because of the hospitality and tourism industry.
Yes.
Salzburg is one of the global hotspots of tourism. I think even 30 million is the number I heard. 30 million guests in last year.
Yes, it's very profitable.
One region
it's a very
of 500,000 people. I think 500,600,000 people live in the land of Salzburg, the region. And 30 million, this is a global number of significance.
Absolutely. I don't know if you heard...
This is the sound of music. This is
Salzburg.
Is
exactly
this
the sound
of music. Wagrain. This is Stille Nacht.
Exactly.
These are your skiing centers of global significance.
Yes.
This is the city and its culture. 30 million. And that means jobs That means
Money, prosperity, economy.
That means also quite high property prices. I'm not asking you if you have already an apartment, because with 24, that's not a normal thing, but you hopefully will have. And what are the property prices in Salzburg, in the center? Let's say if you want to buy a flat with 70 square meters, will you need 500,000 euros? Or?
Kind of. It is very
maybe
expensive.
700.
Maybe 700. It's very expensive.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. JD Vance, in the slum of Europe where the Muslim hordes have taken over, they are asking 700,000 euro for a 2-bedroom flat. And in Vienna, I bought one, 500,000. You know, the situation is not exactly breakdown of European civilization.
Not yet.
Not
But
exactly,
it's still,
JD. Please listen here.
it is still very expensive, I think.
It's also not easy for young people to buy.
No, it's almost impossible. If you don't inherit or work really hard, you can forget it. But Austria is very specific in this context. I used to work in real estate as well. So I know a bit about the prices in other countries. And honestly, it depends if you're like buying as an investment or buying as something to live in yourself. Of course, it's a beautiful city, Salzburg or Vienna, where you can live in your own headquarters, so to say. But still, it's not very profitable. I mean, if you want to live there, if it's beautiful, of course, that's a different argument. But for investments, Austria has too high prices and too low rent. And I know this sounds absurd. The rent is already high. It is. But in like the economic sense, compared to other countries, other cities, it's actually quite low. It's actually quite low rendite.
Because of our low income levels,
Yes.
we are having high taxes.
And we also
Let me
have
ask
to
you,
put...
because I'm also for low taxes. Or
I am absolutely for
Are you
low
for low
taxes.
taxes?
I am for low taxes.
Flat taxes?
Not flat taxes, not immediately.
Perfect, Jovan.
We have some ways to go, but I still want to have a social security for the people. So I wouldn't describe myself as very right or left wing. There is policies on both ends that make sense. So I don't know where I would put myself on the political compass. We don't know that yet.
The Neos, we learned that already.
The Neos? Okay, yeah, could be. Sorry for the jump scare that I just did again. But yeah, no, taxes are one of the issues, I'd say, but the other is like the legislative, because you have to put down 30% down payment. And in Germany, for example, much better, there is financing of 100% of the price or even 110% with the Nebenkosten, so to say.
So the German financial market more flexible.
Yes.
And the Austrian, with highly regulated, don't allow the youth to do 100% mortgages.
Exactly.
And then they don't have apartments.
Exactly.
And they have to rent, and they are dependent on the socialist government to give them a cheap flat, which is price regulated.
Yes,
that's perfect.
Exactly. The ideal structure.
I think something should change in Austria.
But we have to do it because no one else is going to do it. That is always the thing.
Yeah, after this small exchange about property prices, which are of course important, let's come back to the artificial intelligence. Because everybody now on these conferences, I like also to attend, everybody says America and China, unfortunately, are chasing away on the artificial intelligence with mega investments and hundreds of billions. And there was recently, from the Political Academy of the Austrian People's Party, an event where they made some studies and showed all these NVIDIA and Google and all these mega tech companies, which are contrary to X, which is basically not valuable in a sense and not producing a lot of money, but it's the big issue. But the Americans have all these tech giants, and they are investing in the artificial intelligence in the hundreds of billions, if not trillions, while the Chinese are doing similar level. And in Europe, we are talking about the dangers of AI. And we try also to invest, and some things are happening. Gigafactories are talked about it. But you are in this sector professionally. What do you think? What is our AI kind of situation? Are we behind? Are we ahead? Will we catch up? Sebastian Kurz had this dream to bring us into the AI world. Do you think we do enough? And where do we stand? 2025 at the end of the year. What's your wish for 26?
Do we do enough? No,
of AI?
We of course do not do enough. We discussed a lot on like the ethical use of AI and regulating it and restrictions. That has cost us a lot of time. And the US and China are both spearheading the AI game. Now, irrelevant if you think that AI is a bubble with NVIDIA and AMD and Oracle just giving themselves the same amount of money to heighten the GDP, but actually it's just the same amount of money circulating. Still, there is use cases for AI in research and things that will change our society as a foundational thing. But that doesn't mean that Europe needs to compete on the same level. We don't have to have an NVIDIA, we don't have to make chips, we don't have to do those things, but we have to invest, we have to do something. And what is that something? We can use the AI for things. We can make full stack companies, for example, an accounting company that now isn't only an accounting company, but a fully AI automated and integrated accounting company. Starting using our innovation, because we have smart people. We were always the peak of civilization, innovation in Europe, and we still have that here, but we need to finance it more, and we have to use this technology. We don't have to produce it. It's too late. I'm sorry. The door has closed already. The ship has sailed. China and the US are already producing, but we can use it. We can use that to make companies from the ground up, use it in the public sense as well. In politics, in governments, to automate repetitive tasks, to automate things, to have AI help the humans that work with it. Not to replace the humans, but to make them leverage technology to reach more. And I think in this sector, Europe can compete. Using AI in defense, in drone manufacturing, already existing industries, but AI integrated and fully AI integrated. That, I think, is the front EU should be focusing on at the moment.
Don't you be a bit afraid that there will be less jobs in the Landesregierung, in the state bureaucracy?
That could be.
AI will replace the civil servants?
I don't think they will replace all of the civil servants, but we won't need much more additional ones. We don't need to hire 20,000 public officials now because we have AI, so you won't have to hire much more people. But the people that are already here can do much more work with less time, so it's going to be much more efficient. And of course, you might need a bit less positions, but are you going to complain as people? Those people are representing you. My taxes are paying for them, so I have to pay less taxes to finance them. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so.
So should we be afraid of artificial intelligence?
Not really. We should, of course, restrict very nefarious use of, for example, making a deep fake of you robbing a store and then presenting it to the police and saying, Günther robbed the store, arrest this man immediately.
I did not.
He didn't. I'm just making an example. But those kinds of uses should be restricted. But everything else can help us thrive as a continent, as a people. And that should not be ignored, in my opinion.
But Europe is very much about fear in many of these ways. We are afraid of the future, so we regulate it first. And we regulate it so strictly that we are not fully part of the future and the possibility.
Yes, and that's why the ship has sailed. That's why we can't compete in the production now, because we've over-regulated it, the AI Act. All of that of course, some things were good to regulate. Some, like I just mentioned the example, some things should be regulated, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't innovate, that we shouldn't do new things. And in my opinion, I've said it like 3 times now, but production already too late, but the usage on how to implement those new technologies and revolutionize all of the industries that we already have in Europe, that are already massive, that's going to be a front that Europeans should be on, I think.
Should we base our regulation always so much on fear?
No.
Fear of AI, fear of genetically modified, fear of nuclear power, fear of everything.
You're throwing very good keywords at the moment.
Then we make this kind of very strict regulation, and then some years later we find out that in America they had less regulation on this sector. They have developed a whole industry about new food technology, new ways of feeding the world, a new innovative artificial intelligence, and then suddenly we say, we really have to catch up now here.
You can't have a fear-based society that's going to thrive. You mentioned nuclear power. We need nuclear. You're speaking
nuclear in Austria?
Yes, in Austria. You're speaking from my heart. I think we need nuclear.
So you have abandoned neutrality? You want nuclear?
I do.
What else you want?
I want
genetically modified food?
I want genetically modified
to
food
feed
as well.
the world?
Yes.
And eradicate hunger?
Yes, exactly.
You heard it first
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
The
evil
World
man.
Economic Forum wants to eradicate hunger.
Wants to put
and that's actually a good thing to do. And there would be technology there to do it.
Yes, but some people, when they hear genetic manipulation of food, they think of Alex Jones, who says they're putting the chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs gay. We're not putting chemicals in the process in the genetically manipulated food. It's just
Jovan, I guess you even vaccinated.
I'm actually not vaccinated.
No?
No, we broke the streak. We broke the streak. I'm very sorry. We broke the streak.
Okay, you should actually. I'm vaccinated. I have a COVID shot here, and I have flu shot.
I haven't gotten
strong,
through it, sadly.
57. No, you're still
But
27.
I'm strong as well.
Good.
We both go to the gym, yes? I see you post very
That's
much.
very important, guys. Get to the gym.
This is very important. It builds self-confidence, makes you stronger, makes you look better. Great things.
The whole discussion to meet you came up in a discussion on the Fire Rises, on the video game where I'm involved. And then I played this first time now because they included me into this mode, and I started to get engaged in a long session. It gave me a lot of new subscribers. And everybody there said, Günther, you are nice, but we want to have Professor Klaus Schwab at the Fire Rises Hearts of Iron. I guess the professor will not join.
I don't think the professor can play Hearts of Iron. I have to ask him.
Honestly, me not as well, unfortunately, but I had some help from some professional YouTubers who were playing the game, the mode, and I was just talking. But in these comments, when you have a lot of comments, they ask you questions, the audience, and then they all said, Günther is nice, but get Klaus Schwab to join that game.
Yeah.
And then on Twitter, they showed me a lot of photos of Klaus Schwab, who is like an internet celebrity in this kind of... what exactly is happening here?
There is a lot of conspiracy theories with like the World Economic Forum or Klaus Schwab, so he gets a lot of attention, of course. And I always ask myself, why is that?
Why is that?
Why are there so many theories about him and like a shadow government controlling everything? And then I try to put myself in the position of the people who don't have the insight that I have or aren't active in the organizations I'm active in, and I can somehow understand it. Let me put it on the table.
Everybody's watching now. The moment of disclosure is coming.
Perfect. You see a meeting in Davos, for example, where a lot of high-profile stakeholders come. They are politicians, they're business leaders, they're people that actually have a lot of influence and can change things. They all come together in this specific location and they talk about how they can change the world to a better place, how they can contribute, and what they can do to make it a bit more less painful for everyone else.
But that's nothing bad.
Exactly. But on the outside, it looks like, powerful people come and discuss and then they do something shadowy. And that is, I think, how the conspiracy theories come. They don't know what the people are talking about. They don't know that the things they're talking about is actually about bettering the world, bettering the environment, bettering the politics for the general population. They think it's like they're talking about how to make money and how BlackRock is going to buy up all the real estate in the US. They think about those things. But it is not true. These stakeholders meet in order to make impact for the general population. It is going to help them. And the vision that the outsiders get, that people aren't engaged into these events, organizations, whatever, they just see a lot of powerful people meeting, talking, aligning on something, they don't know what exactly, and then going back and doing that.
But
that
everything
causes...
is on the website. Last time I looked,
I know, but
it was reports, masses of
exactly.
reports about eradicating hunger, digitalization,
live streams as well, so many things. But
even live streams.
Yeah, but who cares? No one looks at that. Why would you look at real information? You just want the flame, you want
somehow Klaus Schwab has been turned into a kind of a conspiracy-style digital figure who has his own life as an avatar on video games.
No, it's because he's the head of the organization, or was the head. He's still the founder.
So we have breaking news. There is no breaking news.
There is no breaking news. Indeed, there is no breaking news.
It's just a think tank.
It's just a think tank.
With a youth organization.
Exactly, that tries to do good.
Charming gentleman is one part of it.
Thank you
Hopefully
very much.
The president in the future who joined us today on this podcast and had a very charming and very good interview with you. Thanks a lot. Gentleman which is going for places in the future. He comes with a migrant family from Serbia in the age of 12 to Salzburg. His parents have worked hard in the tourism industry. A lot of American tourists came to the nice hotels of Vienna, to the skiing centers, and his family was part of the value chain and is now a student, studies law, is active in the global community of shapers, in the Munich Security Forum, in Davos, and in many other of the think tanks in the west of Austria, and is a very charming gentleman going way. And breaking news, there is no conspiracy, and Klaus Schwab is just a normal think tank personality. So, welcome for coming. You want to say the final last sentence on this session here, please?
I just want to thank you, Günther, for having me on here. It was such an interesting and nice conversation. Very like-minded individuals we are. We're both globalists.
The NATO was good, flat tax.
We will see. Maybe.
But you are for Europe, and you are for a secure, prosperous
and on that we agree
continent,
that we need to
for a young generation,
absolutely,
which can enjoy the same freedoms you have had in order to build your company and your activities in beautiful European Union. JD Vance, you're listening? Elon! It's just fine here in Europe.
Yes, but
thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for having me, Günther. It was
Welcome.
very nice.
All the best in 2026 and success in the
Likewise.
forums. And Klaus Schwab, invite him to Davos. He's coming, up and coming. Thanks a lot. Okay.